What do you think is a bigger threat to America today, woke Marxism or the alt-right that the woke Marxists and even some libertarian types seem to be terrified of? And I thought that was interesting because I do think that in Cynical Theories, you talk at the end about liberalism and the fact that the kind of applied postmodernism is energizing.
Yes.
The nationalist right, which could present, in itself a threat. But
Right.
With the time that's gone by since you've written the book, and now we're also seeing some policies, which some might describe, I would, as a liberal coming out of the Supreme Court. So yeah, what's the bigger threat?
Okay, so this actually turns out to be a complicated and timely question. The immediate threat, far larger threat, is woke Marxism. I mean, if we end up in that's not precisely true. Woke Marxism is a tool for this huge corporatist, fascist, communist, weird Klaus Schwab New World Order thing. And if we end up in that, we're all screwed. There will be no freedom for anybody anywhere ever again. Never. We'll never get out of the digital prison that they're going to build in all likelihood. And so think of what China is doing as stage one out of like 5 progressive stages of worst tyranny, like with all the surveillance, all of the, being able to turn off your money whenever they want, et cetera. And that's like step 1 of 5. The last steps are like literally getting inside of your head with like implantable devices to control your thoughts. No kidding. That's the program of the World Economic Forum tyranny that woke is enabling. So that's by far the biggest threat to freedom in the world. Now, if we step back from that, woke is probably the larger of the dangers in terms of its ability to create dysfunction. The alt-right is an imprecise term. What it seems to refer to doesn't exist in any significant capacity. But what it covers up by using this incorrect term is something that's called the post-liberal right. And I'm actually very afraid of the post-liberal right, which is rapidly gaining context and support. And I don't mean like on the internet with 25-year-olds, which is kind of its primary base of support. I mean with influential people with lots of money and people who are in government and running for positions in the government who believe that the liberal order has failed, has come to its end, and has to be replaced with something else. That is, basically the idea is, well, we couldn't keep society free. So if we're going to live in an unfree society, better ours than theirs. And so they want to go ahead and, grab the club and start whacking people with it. And this has very ascendant energy because the procedural liberal order, where the law rules, not any individual, seems not to be able to contain the woke problem. So people are becoming increasingly desperate, realizing that we're increasingly close to the possible success of this tyrannical Great Reset. They're becoming increasingly warm to the idea of fascist isn't the right word, but reactionary is. Reactionary solutions to the problem that will not favor individual freedom and liberty either. And that will, at some point, because woke is rapidly now on the decline, not necessarily institutionally, but its popularity is through the floor. That's on the decline, whereas this post-liberal right is on the ascent. At some point in the near future, which I would guess would probably be within the next 6 to 10 months, probably just 6, before the end of the year, we will see a switching of which of the two presents the largest immediate danger. Because it depends. If they've got another big trick up their sleeve at the World Economic Forum or whatever, then that may not be the case. But right now, woke is the access point to that. Now, the thing is the post-liberal right are producing the conditions that the weirdo globalists can take advantage of in exactly the same way. So it's going to blow up in their faces, too. They want to do crazy things like split apart the United States, which is a vehicle that's part of the program, is to get rid of countries like the United States because they're big and unified and control lots of assets and resources and so on. So this post-liberal right actually freaks me out, and I'm sort of looking down the road. I'm like, okay, we have like I don't know, we have like a giant attacking us right here, and then 100 miles down the road, there's going to be like a dragon. And it's like, crap, you know? So that's a complicated answer. But the thing that gets called the alt-right isn't real. Not really. I mean, there are people that do that. Like, for example, everybody trots out Charlottesville, but they don't know that, for example, the people with the tiki torches were paid by the same people that paid the people on the other side of that whole fake conflict. They were all paid by the same weird globalist interest to create a conflict that they could use to do a reflexive media push. That was a question, by the way, here in the Q&A is, could I explain reflexivity? Yeah, it's creating a story and flooding it from every direction so that you think it becomes true by people thinking it's true. So an example of a classic reflexive statement is, this is a revolutionary moment. It's false until enough people believe it to make it real. And then, or the economy is going to collapse. Well, that's false unless a lot of people believe it and go rip all their money out of the market and it collapses all at once. And so reflexivity is a means of projecting into the world that which you want to create in the world, and then creating a media environment where everything somebody encounters, or a cognitive environment where everything they encounter reinforces it. So they just believe it's inevitable and happening, so they go along with it. Self-fulfilling prophecy on purpose, in a sense. And that is what... that's the kind of environment that I see happening around this post-liberal right rising up, is, oh, well, we have no other option than to go fully forceful. Somebody says, who are the intellectual leaders of the post-liberal right? Well, Alexander Dugin in Russia, Putin's guy, you might look into him. He's probably the most intellectual of them. Curtis Yarvin, who used to write under the code name Mencius Moldbug, is a neo-reaction, is his philosophy, or dark enlightenment. He's a post-liberal guy. Politically, J.D. Vance is running for office as a post-liberal. I've heard, but I don't know, that Blake Masters is post-liberal. You kind of run into these guys. Possibly, I don't know. If they doubt that the constitutional order can continue in the United States, then they're probably post-liberal. And I really worry about that. But the kind of big philosopher types are going to be kind of fringe characters like Curtis Yarvin, and then whatever in the world Alexander Dugin represents behind Putin, and whatever that's all about.